Hello, everyone. Welcome to Hang On with RAKStars. Happy to be here like every Friday with you all. Hi, Jose. How you doing?
Hello, yeah, happy Friday. Yes, I'm happy. Yeah, it's a good Friday, and we're talking about Helium again, right? So it's all good for
Exactly.
me. I'm very, very happy.
We have been like some intensive weeks talking about Helium, and also like this week we have been seeing like a lot of increase in a lot of things around Helium, also projects and communities getting more and more excited. And in today's session, we're going to be chatting with someone who is super connected with the Helium community. He's a moderator of the Helium community, and he has been exploring with the technology. And he became from the cryptocurrency community, which is a pretty interesting thing because right now he's getting involved with this long fight technology that relates to LoRaWAN technology, which is an IoT technology. And he will be sharing a little bit more about his journey of how he start exploring with this technology and not just expanding the coverage, but also use the coverage that he expanding around his region. But yeah, for those who are joining for the first time to this session, basically this is a community space where we share with passionate RAKStars, as we call them, basically the community members of the RAKwireless community, and we talk about their projects, their hacks, their journey on the working with different projects, and yeah, many other experiences. So as I was mentioned, today we are going to be chatting with someone who has been in the developer in the web development world for more than 10 years, and also in the cryptocurrency ecosystem. And thanks to that, he jumped across to Helium and the different aspects of the IoT ecosystem. And yeah, I think he can introduce a little bit more about himself and share all the cool things he has been doing. Neil, welcome.
Hi, how's it going?
Hey, welcome, Neil. It's great to have you in the show today. Good stuff.
Yeah, thanks for joining us. We are super excited to hear a little bit more about you, your journey, and all the things you have been doing during the past month. And just to start and break the ice, just can you share a little bit more about your story, like your background, where are you from, and how did you get into this world of hardware?
Sure. So right out of college, I jumped into application development and web development for a small company. I got certified as a Microsoft certified application developer. I was building large systems, and one day I swapped to web hosting. I saw there was a market there. I grew a company from the ground up. Everything was custom written, from install procedures to server management. And, we grew a very large company to 4,000 clients that basically had 5 support tickets a day. So it was run that well that it didn't cause problems. And from that, I decided to sell a few years ago, and I moved into cryptocurrency when I stumbled upon Helium. So, I come from I come from the background of cryptocurrency. I was interested in the projects, and my very first dive in was an Ethereum miner. And about that sort of time, Helium come around, and I realized, what do you mean you can have 10 hotspots and use less power than one graphics card, and it has a real world use that can help lives, so it fascinated me. So I learned everything about it, and now I'm doing that with sensors.
Great story. And how did you become a mod? Were you can you do?
Yeah,
sure.
By nature.
I mean, the very fact it was, it's kind of bad to say, but the very fact it was earning me money it was the fact that I read everything about it. I'm a very deep looker, I read everything about the project, and I was just helpful. I understood enough to be helpful in the community. So I was in around when Helium had about 8,000 miners last year. So it's almost a year anniversary. So I've seen everything, Incredible numbers, to be over 120,000 now, and just have this network that's usable. There's places you can walk around the whole of London and not lose coverage. The opportunity there for sensors is amazing.
Yeah, absolutely. And not just one hotspot, you get like redundant coverage from multiple hotspots, which is incredible.
Yeah, and it's encouraging to see. It's amazing to see. You can walk down the street in London and you're covered by 7, 8, 10 hotspots.
Yep.
So, no matter where you go or what you're tracking, it's there already. So now's the time to fill in the gaps, but it's very usable.
Yeah, definitely. We are getting like more inquiries now about tracking solutions, things like that, for the UK network as well. So yeah, looking forward to that. Okay.
Super nice.
So
and also like you mentioned that you were becoming from the cryptocurrency world, and that is why you got into Helium, but you also started like deploying and working, like testing sensors in order to understand that IoT side of the network. Which were the first like IoT devices that you try under the network, and what are the applications that you think are most relevant right now for the people's network?
Sure. So one of the projects I always tell everyone about, and if anyone wants to talk to me, I'm always in the voice chat over on Discord. You're more than welcome to. One of the first ones I started with was mapping. It really helps you understand what they're doing. How your coverage is spreading across the world, and how antenna changes make a difference, or how a different type of cable makes a difference. So you really understand how you can use these things and how coverage works. And that was my first pull into the system. Yeah. But and these were my first ones, very, very rigid, brow-and sensors. Very limited in what you can do with them, how often they check in. It was a very limited system, so I've moved on to WizBlock now, basically.
Nice.
It's been brilliant.
So you're using WizBlock for tracking now?
Yeah, so I use WizBlock as a mapper. It's a project box off of Amazon, but with solar, checks in every minute, wherever you want to go. Weeks of battery life. But compared to something like like the Dragino, this is brilliant. If I want to change something, I can just go and flash the code, read it, and work with it, which is fantastic.
And how much do you mention that you have like long battery life? How much time do you get with the device that you program?
Well, the rate I've been testing at, I was checking in every half an hour, and I was getting about 3 or 4 days of battery. So with solar, it trickles down still, but very, very slowly. So in the last update of this, I've set it going every minute just to see, how much battery life I can get from it, which is absolutely fantastic. I mean, obviously GPS is an expensive thing to have to run. So when I do that in other sensors, it's measured in weeks and months, and with the solar, they just don't lose charge, even in the UK with our bad weather.
Yeah, it's difficult here.
That's nice.
And how many hotspots have you deployed yourself?
So I'm up to 25 now. It's 25 with another 19 coming. So it's a lot of work. It's a big mission to take on, but once you get the routine down of what's right about it and what the basic principles are, and a huge part of that is getting a sensor and using the network. You understand it's so much more when you realize what they're doing and how you can measure these changes, and they really help with that.
Yeah, absolutely. I wish we could include a sensor with every hotspot. That would be a good idea.
Yeah.
So people can see the real use of it already from the start.
Exactly. It's like you are deploying it. This is your first device, so just press a button and it starts sending data.
Yeah, and that's one of the things I tell everyone is if you don't want to do anything more than just put a gateway up, at least get a mapper. At least get a mapper and map that coverage so everyone can see it and the developers know that they can use it. And at the same time, you learn that basic process,
Yeah, and also encourage them to in some way evaluate the network to then be able to deploy more hotspot in a more efficient way as well.
Oh yeah, definitely. It's been invaluable learning. I only do short runs with my antenna cable, but going from an LMR 240 to an LMR 400 at 2 meters, I can go to test those changes. So I know it's not worth the upgrade and the expensive costs. But if you just follow what people tell you, you will always end up with things that aren't great. You paid extra for something you didn't need to. So it's really been invaluable.
And which is the biggest challenge that you have faced during this deployment of these 25 hotspots?
What's been my biggest challenge? Hosts. To be honest with you, hosts. I'm very used to a business where I could do everything I wanted to instantly. So moving to a world where you have to ask a host, oh, look, it's just not working. Can you reboot it? And you have to wait till they're home at 8 o'clock at night, or you're trying to blindly describe them how to do something over the phone. That's been a real pain for me. I've made the process easier with remote switches for plugs and things like that. But yeah, it's been a real pain.
Yeah, we'd like to see that improved, and like things like remote dashboards and everything. Online
fleet management looks great. That's all I could say.
Yeah,
it makes such a difference.
Yeah, absolutely. And are these hotspots indoors or outdoors mostly?
I prefer the indoor hotspots. I find attics great. There's less signal. You're mostly clear in the roof line of other buildings around you, and often it's a cheaper, easier process for you to do. If you can put them outside, it's great, but you have to ground them. You have to do all of these extra things.
Holes,
yeah, exactly. Make sure, and then often they'll use things like pass-through cables that add some loss, or so if you can keep it up, nice and high and in the attic, it's often a quick win. I always try to find the easy routes. So
yeah, well, it's a good strategy. Yeah, works well.
And which is the range that you get, like the biggest range that you have with one of the hotspots?
It's around 30 kilometers. So
30 kilometers,
and that's just with a RAK 5.8 in an attic. So
in an attic, wow,
that is nice. Whoa. Okay, and that is using like the basic, like with the basic antenna, or did you improve it?
It's just a basic antenna. It's the upgraded one, obviously the outdoor one, but it's just it's not the original. It's the outdoor 5.8. It's absolutely brilliant out there. So location is everything. It doesn't matter if you've got an 8 dBi or 3 dBi. If it's at the wrong location, it's not going to do the distance. But if you do your research and learn the differences, you don't need something like that. It's just too much, and in this data focused world, it's not going to be good for data eventually as well. So it's really important you think about the future of people using the devices. You want to serve the local traffic.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, even the stock antenna does a good job as a starting point. Yeah.
Oh, and that's the first thing I tell everyone is don't go out and buy anything. Just put what you've got in and test it for a long period of time, not just a day of changes. Try something for a week or 2 weeks, see how it goes, and then you know what you need from that point.
Yeah, that's really good info, because people want to see like instant results, so they connect the antenna and say, oh, it's better. You can't do that. Yeah, it takes a while for this stuff to stabilize and everything else. Yeah.
Exactly. And like you came like from the crypto side, and you started like exploring like with the IoT technology. And I am wondering, how did you find that like learning path about LoRa and LoRaWAN technologies at the beginning?
Sure. It was quite tricky to understand the encoding and decoding thing, to be quite frank. I've not done that low-level coding of have to do byte encoding or bit shifting. So once I understood that, and now that I've got a framework together, I feel like I can just put in an example and have anything you want up in seconds, which has been amazing for me. There's some great projects that I've been following. Arky guy's got a RAK mapper, which I really enjoy. And then Paul from Disk91's got the soil moisture sensor. So I'm very lucky that I can go from what they've done, extend it, make the changes I want, extend it and enjoy it. So yeah, it's been great.
Absolutely. Yeah, it's good to have good starting projects to begin with, and then build from them.
Exactly. Actually, like as you mentioned, like one of the like main things when someone is starting is that decoding and encoding part. But like 5 years ago, we're like, okay, this is like completely unnecessary. We won't have to spend a lot of time decoding and encoding things. And right now we have like many resources available, as you share, and we can find like a Git repository with all the decoder for different devices brand and for the different use cases. And with and just with copy and paste, you are ready to deploy
Mhm.
any devices in just a couple of minutes. That is a cool
Sure,
thing
and
if you really
that's
have
the developer's way. That's
Mhm.
the developer's way. You know, if I can type something into Google and cannibalize a system, it's much easier than reinventing the wheel. So it's a lot about what I'm doing, you know, with these projects is I want to get open source projects that people can just start from. This is the starting point, you know. WizBlock makes that very easy for people. You know, I can quickly make a change, flash it to the device, read it in serial, notice my changes, make improvements, and quickly prototype, which has been fantastic.
That is nice. And there is like any sensor or something like for the WizBlock ecosystem that you wish we had and we don't have it right now?
Sensor-wise, no.
Okay.
I think you guys have got a lot covered. I love the new modules that you've got. I really want to try the e-paper display. I think that one's a great one for long life. It's just been great, you know. It's just an exploration for me at this stage.
That is amazing.
I'd love to see some kits put together from your WizBlock stuff. I'd love to see RAK sell a mapper, for example. A lot of people struggle with the soldering issues or the printing of a case issues, and to get something that they can take and maybe put together as a kit, and you know, and then after they're done with it, reuse it for something else. They understand the basics. It's a fantastic platform to start with.
And you've done a lot of 3D printing yourself, right? You're kind of
yeah. I'm lucky that I talk a lot in the voice chat and Discord, and it is a real community there. Rob is a great guy who's been helping with me with code. Ben is another guy who's done some absolutely fantastic printing for me and prototyping. You know, we've come up with solutions for, you know, placement of sensors and some case ideas and things. So we're working on it in a real open source way, and it's been good fun. Really enjoyable. It's nice to see some people gathering together now. You know, this sensor development's really rising, and people are starting to realize, wow, you know, I've got this huge audience that I can help.
Yeah, that's a good point. And companies are realizing that too. And I think we'll have the volume very, very soon. Get that data burned up quickly. And it's really inexpensive, so it's so cheap. It isn't basically free for a long time, and then you have to maybe pay a little bit, $1 or $2 for a year of service. It's amazing. And you don't need your own gateways. It's already there.
No, it's already there.
You're paying by yourself. That is nice. And which are like the main tools that you use to like evaluate the like the coverage, let's say Helium Vision, or which software or platform do you use to increase the performance of the hotspot that you are deploying?
Sure. So I'm a big fan of Helium Vision. It's fantastic, and you can integrate devices in it as well. So if you do take a mapper out, your data can automatically appear on the map, so you can see, you know, where is a good hot place for a hotspot or a sensor. You know, so I will do a virtual cloud simulation on the Helium Vision plan. That'll let me know if it's in the ballpark of being reasonable or not, and then I'll go real world test. You know, I'll take a mapper there. If I do get signal and it does go through, I know it's a good place. And sometimes that can be a better decision than trying to just put a hotspot somewhere you think it might work and waiting for months of results. You know, you can save yourself that time. It's been fantastic.
That's a great service. And what do you use for the trackers? So like for the mapping side, do you use the Helium mappers or the cargo?
Yeah. I use both cargo and mappers, cargo to display and mappers to submit the data. But I've also been testing with Google Sheets. That's another quick, easy integration with Helium. You know, just having any data you want in a sheet just to know what everything's coming through right is great. You know, it's a great first start. And you know, there's systems out there like Kanye, LLP, where you don't even need to write the dashboard. You know, you can pull something up in half an hour, and you know, you've got a minimum viable product. You know, and then it's all about the final design. You know, it's been real fun.
Oh wow, okay. So on Google Sheets, do you record like the locations and signal strength and things like that? Is that
yeah? So for example, on the capacitive soil moisture sensor, it's also got an environmental sensor in it. So I track the pressure, the temperature, the soil moisture, the humidity, the gas levels, which is a new one to me. But you know, that's all come from just an example that's on GitHub. You know,
Yeah.
so I've got the main LoRa class. I pulled in the BME 680 sensor, and I've just read through the example and pulled the bits I wanted, which has been great.
Okay.
And like, what do you think is that like that next step for that? Because right now, like, you are putting all this data in a Google Sheet, and you have like that raw data. Also, you can graph some things on Google Sheet as well. But maybe I don't know, something having something more real time, or maybe a link that you can easily share with someone, and they can just access to your data and evaluate it as well. Do you have like any further plan for that?
Yeah, so the next stage for me is display of data and management of data in a scalable way. So I come from a cloud background, so I'm really interested in running Lambda functions and really making this scalable. So, you know, a user can rock up with a kit, you know, scan a QR code, get charged a very small subscription amount for the sensor for the year, and use that data. So that's the next stage for me. But at the same time, I always want to make everything I do open source. So if you wanted to do the same thing, you could pull that project and put it online.
Interesting. And coming from a crypto side, do you think that data can eventually be like monetized through crypto or some idea like that?
Yeah, I mean, it was a while back looking at air quality sensors, and the fact that if you have enough stream of data coming in, you could sell that data was just an amazing thought to me. You know, there's plenty of projects out there that are trying to do this, but we could do this on an infinitely scalable platform and have them anywhere in a very quick time, and eventually that data would be worth something. And there's whole projects that just do that. You know, this could be one aspect that adds a lot of data to the network, and people get paid for it. It's fantastic.
Yeah. Okay. So you suggest getting some data now, and then eventually evolving to a project around crypto. Yeah.
Yeah, exactly. So friends have come to me with projects. You know, a friend has 3 kids. He has an allotment, 40-minute drive from his house, and he has to go up there and test the moisture in the soil. There's no cell phone coverage because it's in the middle of a field, but I know there's helium coverage. So this V1 is me. This is V1 of me testing the soil moisture, and eventually it'll be an automated watering system. But this is just the start of it. You know, this is me understanding it and getting the data right. And it's like Google yesterday was, what's a good soil moisture sensor for a plant? You know, what's a good range? When does it need watering? You know, does it vary by plant? And so very much the research stage.
Yeah, definitely. Like, it's not like just build the sensor and that's it. It's like all the characteristics of each of the variables that you are measuring, which is like the most efficient way to deploy it and also to monitor it, and not just like the sensors. It's the actual thing that you are solving as well. Like, it's amazing, as you say in the beginning, how we can do things to change the world in some way.
Yeah, I see so many use cases for it that can really change people's lives, but people are kind of waiting for someone to do it for them. And I love this whole DIY movement, the decentralized movement. And I feel if we all come together, we can solve some of these projects very easily. You know, this soil moisture sensor, if I went out and bought one from a company, that's 150, 200, 250 pounds. And this is what, you know, 20, 30 quid, 40 quid at a push, you know, which is fantastic. So, you know, really easy to do.
Yeah, absolutely.
Super nice. And sorry, Jose, do you want to say something?
No, it's just so I mean, you start learning about the physical stuff as well, like things like if you come from a crypto and code side, maybe you don't understand that things can get rust and things like that. So you have to learn all those subtleties at some point. But I'd encourage anyone to give it a go, especially like in soil moisture. You do get into some interesting problems. Sorry, Maria.
No problem. And also, like, I'm wondering, like, let's say, what would you say? Because right now we have like a thousand of hotspots deployed worldwide, and there are many people wanting to deploy more and more and more and more. And we know that there is like an existing gap in the deployment of IoT solution of this network. What do you think it's like a key thing over here to encourage these people that is that is deploying the hotspot, but also to encourage them to start building solution on top of the network they are deploying?
At the moment, it feels like everything we're doing is bleeding edge. Everyone's got ideas for projects, but talk up about it and share. There's a severe lack of developers in visualizations or handling data. So if they can just get involved with the community, it makes a huge difference. If, for example, here, I'm very lucky that there's a few people that have led the path for me, but there's plenty of people that see the value in things like home tracking for security, but no one's building those visualizations because no one quite gets how to do that. So we really need the community to come together, and I feel like these projects would expand on a big scale. There's so much opportunity here. At the moment, to add a device to Helium isn't the hardest thing in the world, but it's definitely not user friendly to the average person. And there could be systems to make this a lot easier. There's APIs to automatically add devices and add functions to those devices and manage them on the network. We just need to expose those web points and have people build these systems to do that. It's a really exciting place because there's one thing thinking there's 120,000 hotspots out there, but when you realize the market that's servable by those hotspots, you realize about how much potential there is for these sensors to exist, and it's on a different scale. So it's the best time to get in now, get in early and learn this stuff.
Do you think that crypto has maybe been one of the problems? Like people see, it's a crypto project, and they don't maybe believe in it, or as an IoT solution. I mean, maybe. Sure.
It does have that. It's decentralized. There's no middleman. There's no uptime promise. But when you walk through London and you see that one device is picked up by 10 sensors, and you think this is, there might be 250,000 this year, there might be 500,000 next year. And when one device could be picked up by 10, the redundancy's there. It's not even a question, So it's an exciting time for it all.
Yeah, but maybe people just haven't realized. I mean, they're used to that, like the cellular network and things like that. So
I think it's a big thing about just the nuances of a new platform for a lot of folks. They love the idea of it, they love what it could do, but they just want to scan a QR code and pay a fee, and that would help them tremendously do the things. Like one of the ideas with this is I'd like you to be able to build this and monitor your favorite plant. It gets that understanding and it gets the data on the network, and it hits a market that's not quite being targeted yet. A lot of sensors are designed for business, and they're used to this way where they have to go and deploy a lot of gateways and the planning for those gateways just to get good coverage. But there's a huge market that is covered already, so you just have to sell the devices and the interface.
A marketplace that connect all together, something like that.
And it's just those people need to
that can connect everything. For sure.
And I always see Helium as like an AWS. It's a fantastic platform, but without the apps, it's not worth anything. So now's the time to put those middle layers in, and that's what I used to do with web hosting. I'm a managed service provider. I didn't own the servers. I just wrote the code that existed on the cloud. So you can do the same here. You don't need to be the best coder. You can pull the devices in, but you just pull the system together that does that and serve the markets that you want to serve. Very quickly. I mean, the fact that when I pulled the soil moisture out, that was working within 20 minutes was just mind blowing to me, Whereas before I would have had to find a device and worked out what the payload is and how to decode it and how to deal with it. But then
the kit came out.
The kit came out. The first kit I got put me off, to be honest with you. It was the STM, the old Helium developer kit, which wasn't enjoyable. But moving to the dev kit just meant I had access to everything to instantly start with it.
Yeah, it is easier. Like the environments are easier to do than the SDA ones, and I agree. Yeah, the other one was like maybe more professional market would prefer, but for someone at home or wants to learn, yeah, definitely the kit is, and it's been selling extremely well as well. So it's very popular.
And we can say that it's not just like for people who is at home and I don't know, prototype or build something. It's like it have like all the features and the characteristic to being able to be deployed on the field without any problem. And if you want to scale something, maybe if you want to make something custom made, you can keep the similar concept of the Wisp block for sure. But is the baseboard itself cover all your needs and provide you all the capabilities, something that you can quickly scale up with the same ecosystem. And the cool thing, like what we were talking about as well, is like it is an open source project. So you have like all the resources available either for the software side or for the hardware side. And let's say that there is someone that needs an additional sensor that is not listed in the WISP-block ecosystem model. They can just refer to the documentation, download the template, look for the sensor or any actuator they want to use, keep match all the technical characteristics, and build your own sensors and share with our community. So in the future, if someone needs that sensor, can just refer it, download it, go with your preferred hardware manufacturer, and you're ready to deploy your custom solution, which is like an awesome thing.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, if you need any sensor, you can. There are a lot of freelancers who can just pick up all the projects we provide, and then they can create the sensor for you. It's super easy. We have all the documentation, and all our modules have been tested. So they all work.
And there are more models coming on.
and every kind of we try to keep pushing more modules, more interesting modules. We don't have a soil moisture yet, but I think we'll have one. We'll have one maybe coming. Am I promising things that don't exist yet? Maybe. It's definitely interesting. And the kit is a good start for anyone really, and even like a software guy. So you can get it started, and then you have a prototype. You can get help to develop your prototype and then go into production at scale as well with RAK.
Exactly.
Which is great.
Nice.
Okay, and so what's next for you? What kind of next projects are you thinking about?
So for me at the moment, it's all about learning the display of the data. So once I learn the display, I want to build a system, open source it, and then move on to find what needs people have. I started with a friend with the allotment issue. There's plenty of examples like that. So who knows where it will lead me? But having the kit, having one of every sensor, I can just take these projects apart and have them doing something else. And in the meantime, I'm starting with project boxes like this, but I want 3D printed cases that look the part and act the part that anyone can print and put live. So if that takes me somewhere else and someone comes with a use case, then I'll help with it. Someone said to me recently about a box that you can track things with, tell if the box has been open, or someone was talking to me about how, a tracker in a bike would be a great idea, especially with expensive bikes nowadays, electric bikes, they're worth thousands. There's nothing to track them, and they're stolen so easy, something in the seat peg or in one of the handlebars would be a great solution. And being able to have a kit that I can just go, right, here is the basic modules. Maybe I'll print something on the printer and throw it on and see how it works, and then take the next steps of maybe selling that as a service.
Okay.
And also I know that you build like some 3D printing like baseboard for the WISP-block, like to make like your test in the table, right?
Yeah, so when I first came to WISP-block, I asked people what they were doing about project boxes, and they were saying they were just gluing them down. And that put me off a little bit, having a modular system that was glued down. So the very first thing I did was a riser. I didn't do it, Ben did it, to be fair. So, you glue a riser down and, you have a modular system. And in the future designs, that can be integrated into the case. But for quick prototyping, you just need something a bit more modular.
Yeah. I mean, double-sided sticky tape is a very popular engineering tool, but I agree with you.
Yeah, it was an interesting one. The first sensor I worked with was the WizBlock tracker from Arki, and he puts a 3-axis controller sensor on the bottom. Yeah, so I didn't want to glue it or stick it and cause problems or pull it out or break it. So I wanted the riser
the riser.
Yeah, just to give it a little bit more flexibility.
So do you design yourself the 3D boxes or no?
I don't. I'm lucky that I work with the community every day. There's a great guy in there called Ben that if I ask him for something, he just goes away and has to play with it, you know. Yeah, it's been really fun, and you know, a lot of this is seeing if something works. So, you know, like I say with this one, this was the first design. Once we saw it, it was too much, it's too big, you know, but I wouldn't have been able to tell that if I wasn't able to quickly prototype with it.
And that case is for which use case?
Well, it was originally for the soil moisture to go in the plant pot, but the problem with this case is it's as big as the plant sometimes, you know, and considering how small the WizBlock is, but I wouldn't have known that if I couldn't have printed it. And if I'd have gone the traditional route, it wouldn't have, you know, I would have wasted a lot of money, but being able to quickly spend 4 hours and have a working prototype is fantastic.
And do you get, like, you were involved with 3D printing before getting like in this development work or not? So
I originally bought it because I wanted antenna mounts. I wanted to 3D print the ones. There were some RAK ones that RAK designed ones to take the RAK antenna. So I wanted those because they allow you to screw them into the beam and things like that. So there's screw holes, and I like the look of them. And the fact that I could print them and have 20 the day after if I wanted them was great. So that originally drew me in, and then spent a long time printing boaties and, you know, octopuses just to get the printing down. But now it's it's been really good fun.
You bought the 3D printer to print 3D antenna mount.
Yeah, basically, and things like that of that nature. Another great one was a wall mount. There's been a few top plates and just general bits and pieces that have been fantastic having a printer here for. You know, a mapper case or a mapper back or just anything. You can have it instantly. And what's been fun is that someone across the world's been designing things, and I can just load them up and have them printed within a couple of hours. And it just really makes you feel like a global community. It's good fun.
Yeah, it's great. And it would be great to share code as well. Like people in the US side can maybe run code on their WizBlock that you also run here using the same network as well. I think that's really powerful as well. And so we'll try to do more of that in the near future. Like show the real global scale of the network. Can I ask, like on Discord, on the Helium Discord, do you have a favorite channel, or do you have somewhere you particularly like to learn things?
SensorDev's great. If you have any questions, there's always people about to help you. The first project I always tell people to go for is mappers. Please map your coverage. If you don't want to do anything else, just show how good the coverage is around you. So if a developer comes on and they can say, wow, you know, I don't need to do any planning, I can just use my sensor there, it's a fantastic thing. And it's more likely to mean that more developers come along. And for such a small project, it's not a lot of work, and you can just carry it around with you, and you're benefiting the network a hell of a lot by doing that. So yeah, the mappers room's great. Everyone in there will give you help starting, you know, and if you got, there's some nuances to it, and obviously they'll help you get through those.
Excellent.
I'm a big fan. I watch a lot of the hip rooms. I was here quite early, so I make sure I see everyone and learn all the information. But most of all, if I'm always in the voice chat room, so if anyone wants to speak to me, they can come in there and talk.
Just chat. It's amazing. Well,
and it's great if a new hip comes out or a new idea comes in. There's always people there to bounce your ideas off and talk with. So a very very reactive room. It's great.
Awesome. Sounds great. Yeah, I've not been there actually, but I should check it out actually more often. It looks like a good place. So you don't get a lot of complaints like my hotspot is not making enough HN.
Every day.
That is
get
a
the same
question.
questions, but you get the little nuances in between. That's so fun to sit and learn, and you talk about some bigger ideas sometimes. With the whole decentralized nature of things and what you can do. You can really bounce some good ideas off people, and often find connections. I've seen people go from little ideas in their head to full-on projects or stockists of projects, or they're known for a particular thing now, and this is all grown from nothing, all in under a year, and it's just fantastic to see.
Yeah, that's true. Yeah, you can find people who want to make the project, want to sell the project, so you can find everyone there on the community. It's really good mix. That's true.
Yeah, like those who are experienced like in the IoT development side, and those who are in the crypto and also in the business one. Yeah, for sure.
Yeah, there's people from all walks of life. You get the person that just wants to earn some passive income, but at the same time you get the questions of, how do I track a bike? Is it possible to do with this? What tools do I need to do that, and how easy is it for me to learn? And there's people there that will help you through that whole stage. So.
Okay. Do you think that the commercial sensors are there already to support kind of these applications, or do you think there still needs, from what you know from the sensors, maybe I don't know how far you've looked into existing sensors?
There's some good sensors out there, but they're just targeted to business markets. The cost prohibitive for someone to learn and get into a lot of the time. And it's a real, they're expecting you to go to a company where you might charge 50,000 for an installation. So a few sensors at £200 would be nothing, and it's definitely worth their while. But for the commercial user in the house, it's just too much. With the soil moisture, I'd love to get something out there that's affordable as a kit. They can put it together and install it in their house, so they can learn all of this at a very cheap rate. And ideally, after they're done with it, if they don't want to use it, they can take it and do something else with it.
Okay.
And also, like, I am wondering, like, since you came to the crypto side, like, you are like a big lover, of course, of the miners, like Helium miners. And what do you think about the new data-only hotspots and the advantage that they brings to the network?
The hotspots, sorry, I didn't quite catch that.
The data-only hotspots.
Data-only hotspots, yeah. I mean, they're great. They're absolutely great. I mean, as a developer, if you haven't got coverage, you can spin up coverage very quickly and just use the network. And often, if you're more worried about the data than you are of earning crypto, so being able to buy and instantly buy a data-only gateway is a great thing. Great thing for the network. Just to be able to use the network, and I have them myself. I have ones that I built, and they allow you to do a bit more and to learn a lot more in detail about what they're doing. You can view the logs, you can see the miner in action, you can see the LoRa packets transfer. I'm very lucky in my career with Helium that last year I got a DIY gateway, so I know the whole process, the Semtech packet forwarder. But as a user coming into it now, they would just see a black box in the corner almost. Yeah, so a data-only gateway could allow you to just see that information and learn it in a bit more depth. Yeah, they're really good.
Yeah, that might change with IP22 and things like that, maybe.
Yeah, I like IP22. I do like IP22. It just means that people have a bit more understanding of it and a bit more control over what they see. Dashboards are a great step towards that, but eventually I'd like full control. We're in a world where data is powerful, and having access to data like that is a hell of a thing. So if you can see that information and just be able to say, this is definitely crashed, I want to reboot it, or it's a good thing.
Yeah, I agree, and it's good for development as well, because that's the benefit of LoRa. It's open, and while cellular is a complete black box. I mean, you get your cellular module, you don't see what's happening, and with LoRa, you are able to see that what time the packets are arriving, what they contain, and all that. So it really helps you debug your application, improve your energy efficiency as well, and lots of things actually. So yeah, it is a shame that we have to close. I mean, it's
understandable.
It
makes sense at this stage of the development, but you know, Helium's such a fast-moving project that HIP 22 wouldn't surprise me, with a DIY concentrator with a security key on it, that it comes out within an unbelievably fast pace. You know,
hope so.
Sometimes around here, it feels like if you go away for 2 weeks, you come back and you've missed out on everything. You know, you've missed out on the latest and greatest thing. So it's very fast paced.
I agree with that. It's always like, it seems very far away, like it's soon, and then there's the constant meme of the soon, which is like
soon
6 months or 10 months away. But then some other stuff just happens so quickly. It's incredible, yeah. And
every day it's getting better.
Every day, yeah. If you don't track like GitHub, I sometimes I'm not like tracking the Helium GitHub, and there's like, oh wow, this is coming. Okay, like the data only hotspots. I mean, they just came out without any warning.
I remember that when a team member deployed like the data only hotspot, Jose was like, okay, it appears on the Explorer side. It was like, yeah, it's appearing. No, that's okay. Yeah, it's working right now.
Yeah. Someone added that to the Helium wallet CLI, which I wasn't tracking. So I completely missed it. And there's a lot of more stuff coming. So it's definitely worth keeping track of that.
Completely.
So completely. I agree.
So what recommendation will you give like to us, like RAKwireless community, to help like those users who want to get started in an easy way, like you were not involved in the IoT ecosystem, like having these kits that you mentioned that are like fully customized to one application, that they provide like whole day sensors that they require, for example, the soul moisture ones, including casing, or maybe the 3D casing design where they can print, and any additional thing that you think would be relevant to add right there?
Get going. Get yourself one of these kits is the first step. You know, they're absolutely brilliant to work with, and just look at the GitHub. The GitHub is fantastic. Every sensor is outlined in detail with every function. You're not running in blind, and there's a great community both on RAK and on Helium as well, that if you've got a question, it's answered. I had a nuance the other day that I needed to double click the board, which Jose helped me with. You know, I would have been sat there struggling for ages in any other world if I'd have just gone out and bought, you know, LoRa 32 boards, or, you know, the community's great and they're always there for support. Try it, and you'll be amazed how quick it is. It's not the most complex thing in the world. You know, you can read along and see what's happening at what stage, as long as you understand the fundamentals, and little nuances like setting up platform IO. But once you're there, it's just instant. You know, I can make a change, flash it, load it up in Serial. Serial will tell me every debug output, and then I can go place it in the field. And once you're at that point, it's very easy to do. But there's loads of projects starting to pop up everywhere, lots of use cases, and I'd like to see more.
And have you tinkered with other like technologies, like the ones that Wisblock bring, for example, BLE or Wi-Fi, for example?
I've had some experience with the Nordic Connect stuff, and being able to flash over Bluetooth. I think it's going to be great for pairing devices with phones. I'd love to see a tracker that all it would take is a Bluetooth connection to pair it to your phone and be able to track it. You know, little nuances like that would be great. You know, saves so much easier on the process to, you know, having to learn what console is, how to get the dev keys on there, put the function decoder on, put it onto an integration, where Bluetooth can just mean that they just have it active next to them. It's just going to be great. And yeah, the Nordic tools have been fantastic for just checking everything's going right on it. Freely available on your phone, and just, you know, a free download. So really interesting. I was looking at the other day of Bluetooth tracking for geofencing. So, you know, maybe I could include that in my module. So if it doesn't pass out of the geofence, it doesn't check in for more than an hour. But once it's outside of that, you know, it can check in every few minutes. So I think that would be killer for dog trackers. You know, it's something you don't want to charge too often. So if they're within a geofence, you don't need to track them. So having the Bluetooth capability there is great. The other big one with the WizBlock stuff I love is the fact that I could just plug a solar panel in, and I could just plug a battery in. I don't have to worry about charging or, the circuitry for it. It's just 2 cables.
And actually, it's not just 2 cable, because right now we also have the remote charger model. So that is a cool thing. So you can have everything in closure and just put it in your charger, wireless charger, and you don't need to connect to anything. That is also a cool thing. Like for the use cases that you were sharing, the dog tracker is a cool thing, because at the end you need a device that needs to be like sealed in some way, because it's going to be in contact with a pet, in this case the dog, which is like a good alternative. Yeah, I love that model as well.
Yeah, I do wish that we could include batteries with the WizBlock just to make it easier, because people still struggle that a bit, but the shipping is very difficult with batteries nowadays. So
yeah, totally understandable. Batteries in the post doesn't go down well, does it? But it's not the worst thing. Just go out and buy a battery holder off Amazon, and the battery from your. In the UK, at least, there's vapes everywhere. There's a vape shop on every corner that sells these 18650s. They are available and out there. You just have to go to a physical place for them if you want them quickly.
Yeah, that's a good tip. The vaping stores. I've used that a lot.
Yeah, but there's nearly one in every town. So if you wanted a battery quickly, they're great for them.
Yeah.
So
and they sell the
saves the post.
Yeah, it's crazy. Did you find the holder as well in the UK?
The holders were off Amazon, and
right.
So I got the developer kit, and then I realized I needed a few extra bits. I started. To be fair, I started with a blank desk. I didn't have any tools, so now I have heat shrink for 1,000 projects and JST crimpers and the clips for everything.
Wow.
Yeah,
love that.
Yeah.
You win. Okay. Thanks to Amazon. Amazon next day delivery.
Yeah, it really is. It's that simple, and that's the great thing, with things like this. This was off Amazon, the capacitive Morse sensor, soil moisture sensor, and all I had to do was just, the RAK 1920 IO module and the analog input pin, and there you go. There's an interface for everything out there. So.
Yes, that's a good point. Yeah, we should have like Amazon links and like for projects, and people could just buy the parts from that. It'll be convenient. Okay.
I was checking here like the comments to verify if we have like any additional question around here. Actually, something that I would like to highlight in this conversation is this, which is Neil has thoughts on many Helium beginners. Props on the work you do for the community. So totally agree.
Thanks. Yeah, I try to help, and if often for a selfish reason. If this project does well, I do well, and if I can give you some knowledge that will save you 5 days, I would love to do that.
Exactly.
I've done the hard work. I've tested the antennas. I've tested the cable. I've tested it in the real world. I understand spread factors and things that are new to so many people. So if you ever need help, just pop in the Discord voice chat room. I'm in there, or plenty of other good mods are that will help. It's nice having a hub for it.
Actually, there is here like a recommendation, like how to connect temperature sensor in group setting with live Zoom calls workshop.
maybe we could do that. We could do that.
For sure.
Yeah, it's so much fun, and I think that's what a lot of people need. They just need some walkthrough examples of how to use these things. The Mapper project's a little scary for folks because they have to bring out a solder gun, but you don't need to do that, and there's much easier ways of doing it. But if someone just shows you a walkthrough, it'd be great.
Nice.
That's a good point. And I mean, other networks do that a lot, like workshops, live workshops, and I guess Helium should do it as well. Yeah, we should organize something. Let's do that.
Yeah, show people how to just get a little project going with the WizBlocks would be great. I've had so much joy with it that I can have anything you want coded up in a few hours, and the ability to do that blows my mind. If my next door neighbor wanted something tomorrow, I can have it done for them the next day and prototyped and printed, and not wait for anyone. It's instant.
Yeah, that's good.
And also, it's a good thing to highlight. I think to highlight here things that we're talking about helium. And for those who are in the US and want to print something, Travis has a printer available right there for those who want to print cases for your helium related project. So if you have a Whistlock board and you want a custom case, you can just access the server, look at the printer, see how it's everything working, and you can just send your file from your home, and then Travis will take care of sending that to you. So it's super nice.
It's a great service.
It's fantastic.
Yeah. Community services.
and what Travis doesn't tell you is he spent hours fine tuning those. So they're fantastic prints. Fantastic prints every time. If you need something, just speak up and someone will get it to you.
That is super nice. I don't know if anyone of those who are connected receive many comments, people talking. I love that. And I don't know if some of you have any question for Neil. Feel free to leave that on the comment section and we can address them. And yeah, for now, like you mentioned, like the beginning, like the biggest challenge that you face in the Helium network was okay. I already covered these questions, right? Like, which was the biggest challenge that you faced?
Hosts mostly, but a lot of it was realizing
that the technical side. Let's talk more in the technical side. There is a biggest challenge that you face right there.
The network coverage has been an interesting one of learning, where best to place antennas. When I first started, I had to do everything by hand. There wasn't any tools anywhere for any of this. So working out what signal coverage you're going to do and having to look at line of sight path studies and learning things about the Fresnel zone and everything to do with that is very, very technical to understand. But I've learned some good rules now that make it a lot easier. But I had to learn the technical side of that to understand those basic rules. Height, location is everything. But at the start, it didn't make sense. Sometimes I thought a placement would be good, and then I realized, well, I'm not giving it enough propagation room, or there's not enough free space between it underneath to get a good Fresnel zone, or there's some interference coming here and I need to work on that. It was very, very, very challenging, but a lot of that was helped with putting sensors on the network to really understand how the data flows between spots and realizing that RF is weird. It's one of my favorite sayings from Keenan over on Discord. RF is very weird. You can't expect exact results every time. There's so many factors. That was a challenging thing to get at the start.
Yeah,
sure.
But it's like magic, like being 30 kilometers away and connecting
and having
using the low power that it uses. It's kind of magic, isn't it?
Yeah, and then you learn some of the technical things, like you don't want to be putting an 8 dBi antenna up on a skyscraper. It's just not going to be good for the immediate, and learning. And learning there's things like overshoot and what might be getting you witnessing now is not good for data in the future because you're serving very long distances rather than the close communities.
Yeah.
Things like that are very, very. You just don't pick up on them until you try and use something in the wild.
Yes. It is challenging at the start, right?
Yeah,
actually, go ahead. Sorry.
And then there's small issues like things like relaying on hotspots. Understanding what that is for me. I've worked with IPs and networks for years, so I know I can just pop on the router and add a port forward in. But to explain it to someone that they've got a web interface on their router has been tricky. And that's one thing Helium is known for is the quickness of these projects. Seeing validators pop up in what feels like a few months. I think it was like 6 months or something like that. But to see a project go like that and what's coming with like gateways to solve all of those issues and it's so fast. The struggles that I've had of being fixed and being made easier all the time. Having the tools out there to do all of this planning as well is just something I dreamed of at the start. I had to do it manually and point-to-point studies and real-world testing, and
Yeah, it's a lot easier. I mean, in the near future, people won't even know what you were doing. What? Yeah.
Oh yeah.
Early adopters. Yeah, we're just very early still. So that's the old saying, right? Okay, Neil, can you talk about common problems you solved with Hotspot Owners? Yeah, relaying will be the number one, I guess.
Yeah, I've just never been a fan of Wi-Fi, and a lot of folks will say they've got good Wi-Fi, but they've never tested it on something other than Netflix. You know, Netflix is great at telling you you've got good internet because it buffers for so long.
Exactly.
But if you're doing, you know,
real-time IoT,
you really need to know about that stuff. So you start looking into PoE and everything like that. So a lot of the time, my very first advice is always, have you just plugged it in and left it alone for an hour? You know, plug it in, let it download updates, let it do some syncing, and then try it. Don't just plug it in and expect it to work straight away. These things have to settle, and often they try to rush it, and that's what causes a lot of problems.
Yes.
Let them settle, let them update, and hardwire them if you can.
Yeah, give it time. Please listen to him. Yes, please.
Yeah.
We're going to cut this portion and promote it.
This is a super important message, really, because it's most of our support requests are just leave it alone for a few hours. It will sort itself out. It will sync. It will find the internet connectivity it needs. Yeah, so just leave it alone for a little bit.
Sure, and the big thing people forget is that the information on Explorer and the app is delayed, really delayed. So if you try and rush it, you can just cause yourself some problems. And one of the big thing that people do is if their hotspot's having an issue, the hotspot's having an issue, I'll reboot it, and that just sets it back even more. You know, it's got to boot up, it's got to sync up to height again. A lot of the times, you're better. You know, one of the tests I always like to do is say, go out and use a sensor. Is can you transfer data over it? If you're transferring data over it, it could be fine. You know, it's not a problem your end, and that's a quick sample. But people just like pushing themselves back for some reason. Stop touching it. Yeah,
it's the old like PCs. If the Windows crashed or whatever, they just reboot it. Yeah, it's the old. But they need
give it time.
Patience
is a big thing here. You know,
indeed,
in everything. Even if you're looking at changes in your rewards, if you've upgraded your antenna, you shouldn't be changing again after a day and expecting that to be the same every time. It needs to be a week. You need to get long periods of time frames of information before you decide to do anything like it, because a lot of the time it could be nothing related to what you've done. You know, you could put on a better antenna, but the network's having a slowdown, or there's peers having issues around you, and you know, it's nothing to do with what you've done, and you could feel like it's everything. But patience.
As you mentioned in the beginning, it's not just like plug, connect, and everything is like immediately working. You need to test things, leave it for weeks, for months, evaluate them so that you can take those action. If not, otherwise you need to start changing things or moving things around without the need.
And it's interesting, you know, seasonal weather has effects. When the trees started growing back their leaves was a big change for me. You know, I didn't realize, or you know, we're having a particular rainy period, and it's causing some RF. So if I'd have done a test of just that period, it would have showed me some crap results that were nothing to do with my changes, just based on the weather. So it's really important that you take long time frames.
It is. I know a project that just died because during it worked nicely during fall when the leaves were off, but then the leaves grew back, and then the connectivity just went lost, and it killed the project actually. So it's super, very super critical. You don't think about these things like the leaves. It's like it's different.
I know it's a crazy thing, and it was like in the summer we had some really hot days, and there was hotspots talking to France in that period because of the temperature and the ionosphere. That's the one. And it was amazing to see, but people thought that must be gaming, but the weather conditions changed to make the effects right to go for that sort of distance, and it's amazing to see, and you just wouldn't get that in winter.
Amazing. Super. That's
incredible. The stuff you learn.
I mean, it's like one of the ones I like is knife's edge of radio signals. If a radio signal hits a very sharp object, it will often refract down. So in theory, you can go over sharp objects. You don't have to go through them. You could bounce over them and refract down the other side, or these studies online with these the cloud vision programs like Helium Vision or Hotspot RF, they only show you a simulated, but they don't tell you anything about reflections. Or so it's really cool to see, and you learn those nuances with it all by testing.
Yeah,
super nice. That is super nice.
And you can use all this knowledge as well for the 5G that's coming, right? So that's
it's an exciting one, the 5G. I'm keeping a very keen eye on it.
Yeah,
and it's exciting to move into other bandwidths as
other
such.
bandwidths.
Really
and
good.
other use cases, it will be more like more data, more stuff like so completely different. But the LoRa will all be there, so all hotspots will have LoRa, so the network will be there as well. So it's the IoT network is not going away into 5G.
Sure, a lot of people think it is, but it's just not.
It's expanding.
We've got years to get data out before 5G will even make a massive difference. And the simple fact is if we don't have data in a few years, it's a good job 5G is coming around. It's one of those things. It's really important that we push data usage now, and it's not a game of you waiting for it. You can create that data on the network right now. These kits.
Amazing. I think we have additional question over here that we can jump before leave. Things we are already jumped out of the time.
Sure.
Do you have any favorite RF assessment tool that I miss to step out into the garden for a bit?
Yeah, sure. So Helium Vision is one of my favorite. It's just absolutely fantastic. I've always said to him, he needs to put that on VR so I can fly around in it. I think that would be so much fun. Being able to see all these hotspots in the wild and grab them and look. I think it would be fantastic. But just to be able to, someone say to me, hey, can I put one in here, or can I put a sensor in here or a hotspot here? Type in the address, do some point-to-point studies or some area studies, and see what reward scales are around, or what other witnesses are likely in a very quick way, and then be able to go out with a device and have that data shown on the same map. Fantastic, and you can track changes and everything like that. One I spent the whole of yesterday playing with was Hotspotty. They've just released V2, and the information in there is beautiful. The level to detail is absolutely fantastic. So Hotspotty is more about management of hotspots and placement, but it does give you some advanced strategy options and look at reward scales and things in a bit more detail. But fantastic tools. And then at the start, I didn't have any of this. So now, and it feels like everyone's cheating.
All the tools that are available right now for the community, and also for the ones who are going to be coming in the future, because we can see this exponential growth in the hotspot deployment, in the tools, in the community, and I'm sure that many more things are going to come. So that is amazing. I think we can keep talking about Helium. That is why we have over the past weeks have been talking about Helium. But we are running out of the time. So Neil, thank you so much for joining us today, for taking the time, and also for being a super active community member of the Helium community, and help us, all of us, to getting started, to any doubt, to hotspot deployment. And we look forward to keep collaborating with you, and in the near future be able to see that, let's say, that platform and that integration process that you dream of in another session.
Brilliant. Sounds good.
Amazing.
Sounds good.
Amazing. Thank you so much as well for those who connect today, for those who leave their question or talk over the chat. Happy to see you all, and we hope to see you next time. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye. Thanks all. Thank you.
Bye.
Bye-bye.